Hi everyone, Joe Gentili from Saroff Gentili LLP. Today I want to bring up a law that I think immigrants and people that work with immigrants should be at least aware of. And the law is called the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, the TVPA. Now we hear trafficking victims immediately. Usually what comes to mind is some form of modern day slavery or sex trafficking or something like that. And the law, which I'll describe, does cover those activities, but it's much broader than that. It covers a lot more types of worker exploitation than just kind of the worst case scenario, like I had just described. So immigrants that come to the United States in part to work, or even if they're working abroad for American companies in some instances, they have some special protections against exploitation. So Congress wanted to make sure that people are not being brought here and taken advantage of. And so some examples where this law protects people is we've seen a number of cases on behalf of nurses, for instance, where nurses are recruited abroad, they're promised a certain salary, certain working conditions, and then they come to the United States. And those working conditions are not as good as they were told. Their salary is less than what it was. And they're shown a contract that they sign when they get here that says that if they leave the job, they're going to have to pay some large amount of money to their employer in order to quit. And so they basically feel like they're stuck. So, it's obviously not sex trafficking, it's not slavery, but it is a form of forced labor. And so there are protections in place for when things like this happen with H-1B workers, for instance. And so if you're facing exploitation in a situation like this and you feel like you're trapped, you should contact an attorney to discuss the TVPA or look into the TVPA, because that law can get you, a lot of immigration lawyers know, they're familiar with T visas. It's a route to potentially get a green card. But also what less lawyers are aware of, at least immigration lawyers, is that through that law, you could also get compensation for the work that you did. People can't benefit from your forced labor. They'd have to pay you under the law. And you could do those cases as a class action, and a lot of times you can do them on a contingency basis, which means that the lawyer that you're working with or the law firm you're working with, they would only get paid if the case is successful. If the case isn't successful, you wouldn't owe them money. So even if you don't have cash on hand, you're still able to hire a law firm that can dedicate a lot of time and resources to your case. So in the notes, I'm going to include an example of a recent settlement with this. This settlement had to do with nursing. Over $3 million was paid to nurses related to one of these cases. And it's also worth noting that, like in this nursing case is a good example, it doesn't necessarily have to, you can get damages from the people that actually engaged in the trafficking. So for instance, if there was like a recruiting firm overseas that brought you to the US, and also you're able to get damages from the organizations that benefited from your labor aside from the recruiters. So if the recruiter places you at, healthcare facility A or company A, and they're benefiting from your labor and they know about it, or at least they should know about it, they also can be forced to pay damages. So this is something that's really good to know, because a lot of people, when they get into these exploitive situations, they really don't know what to do, and a lot of times they feel trapped. But this provides a potential way to deal with that situation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I hope you subscribe. Thank you.